Hello all, Cassidy here, coming you live from the desert doing another walk and talk. It is getting incredibly hot here in Arizona, so the walk and talks are definitely going to probably end at some point, at least for a season, but it's still somewhat bearable right now, so I figured I'm going to try to do as many as I can. Plus, it's just been a bit of a hectic week, so it's nice to kind of just get out and talk instead of having to feel structured and planned. So we'll see how this goes. So last week I had a conversation that I released with Michael. We actually recorded that about 6 months ago. And I don't really usually listen to my conversations because they're long form and I try to keep them edited. I generally don't spend time going back and re-listening. Sometimes I'll do it if a guest wants something gone or edited out, but generally I'm not going back to listen. But because we recorded it so long ago, I re-listened to it just to see if there was anything that I didn't want in there or that was too private, and so I ended up deciding to just leave it kind of all in there. And it was very interesting to be able to re-listen and see where I was 6 months ago. And in the video, I had talked about possibly converting to Orthodoxy. And it was like maybe 6 months down the line, I'll be something different. But here I am, 6 months down the line, and last Saturday, I officially became a catechumen in the Orthodox Church, which is basically the first step in becoming a full member of the Orthodox Church. There's still some processes that I have to go through to be a full member, but it's sort of a declaration of a feeling of moving in that direction. And it really got me processing and thinking about what it is to deconstruct and what it is to, no worries. What it is to deconstruct and how we build up and understand what it is to hold beliefs and feel confident about them after. Because I think for myself and for most people, deconstruction was sort of triggered by a loss of confidence in the thing they knew before. So whether it was a bad experience or just acknowledgement of information that you realize just wasn't true anymore, there's this sort of, this like gut check to re-examine and take down the things that you had known before. And I think through that process, you start to lose confidence in not only the things you build, but the way that you build things. We always have this innate instinct as humans to construct. We want to build ideas, we want to build buildings, we want to make things, create things. And for a long time as children, we just do that without even thinking or questioning it. It just becomes this natural instinct of us picking things up from our family, the people around us, the communities that we have been put into, and we hold on to those. And I think for a lot of us, at a certain point, we start to question the mode and the pattern in which we constructed. And it leads people to take it apart and start re-examining the things we always knew. And that's why you see, I think, a lot of this glorification of deconstruction, especially in the new media space, and people sort of finding beauty in taking apart the things they'd known before. And I am definitely an advocate for deconstruction, at least to a point. I think there is something good about being able to question and examine things in your life that don't seem to be sort of making the most sense or operating in a smooth way. And I had mentioned this in my conversation with Grace, but I kind of imagine it like a machine. If there's something wrong in a machine, it's not running quite right. There's a part of goodness or there's a good, how to say it? It's still so hot. It's like 8 in the morning and it's still so hot. There's good wisdom in being able to take that apart, try to isolate the problem, and then figure out what's going on. I think the problem here is when talking about deconstructions of our beliefs, we're taking everything apart, but we don't have a lot of confidence of building something back up again, or how to do that, or why we should do that. In fact, I think sometimes there's the sentiment that it's bad to build up beliefs, hold things strongly, or feel confident about something. And I just think that that sort of sentiment is too extreme and actually incredibly unhealthy to actually getting us to operate well in the world. I know for myself, I had a long, hard journey of learning how to be confident in what I believed again and feel good about what I was building and what I was holding. And so all this to say, I think for me, where I'd love to see the conversation shift from just being about deconstruction, which I think is a really good thing to do if you have the right attitude and you're in the right space and have the right support. But I think the more important thing is not just tearing down beliefs, but building them up, finding a way that we can properly reconstruct. And I've been thinking in my head, what is like a good way to define reconstruction? Because if deconstruction is taking apart ideas and sort of trying to question them and see where we get them and how truthful they are, and construction is just building up, I think reconstruction, in my sense, and in probably a healthy sense, is through the process of deconstruction, trying to build back up again. Ooh. Hold on. Ooh, we're having some technical difficulties. As a filmmaker, this is a stretch of, bending my own sort of control mechanisms. I'm always like, oh, the sound's awful, everything's going wrong, but that's just a part of this, and we're gonna go with it. Where was I? Oh yeah, so if deconstruction is the taking apart of ideas in order to question them and sort of figure out how valid they are, and construction is just sort of building up, to me reconstruction is sort of this state of being or attitude that you have where through deconstruction, you started to realize that you need to build back up again. And it's that process of doing that. And so how do we do that intentionally and well? I think that's for me where my goal is trying to help people reconstruct something in a healthier way. And I know that I didn't always do that. And I'm trying my best to keep doing that well. Or maybe even just get to a place where I'm doing it well. But I don't know, I just look at my journey through orthodoxy, or to orthodoxy, if you want to be more accurate, because I'm not through it yet. And I think it really, to me, highlights the struggle of what it is to try to work towards and rebuild a belief in God and religion. So I came from non-denominational Christianity, and there was a part of me that just thought I would never leave it. Like that would be my path. And then I went through deconstruction, and it opened up the path that I might not believe that God at all. And as I was going through this journey and taking things apart, eventually I knew, okay, I got to rebuild something back up to something. And so when I got to a place where I could feel confident about believing in God, I started looking at other religions. And after a long while of searching, I came back to Christianity and came back to a lot of the beliefs that I had before. And I think for myself, there's a little bit of like uncertainty in that. Is this just confirmation bias? Am I just going back to the thing that felt comfortable? But I think for a while it was just, as I was reconstructing, I was coming back to similar ideas, but they were still something about it that was deeper, and I had more confidence in it. And I definitely had to wade through different times where sometimes I felt much more confident and comfortable in my declaration of Christianity, and then other times I was a lot less confident. And I think I still have those moments today, but they're far less what's the word? Dramatic in their peaks and their valleys. But it was funny to kind of walk this journey and be able to deconstruct. It was a thing that made me open to Orthodoxy. And even going into my first Orthodox service, I didn't think I would like it. Yet I came out with this weird confidence to throw away this label of Protestant and I need to explore Orthodoxy. And the more that I dug and the more that I continued to sort of unpack what Orthodoxy would mean, the more confidence I felt in that worldview and the conceptions and descriptions of the world that the Orthodox Church held made far more sense than Protestantism ever did. And it's not to say that Protestantism didn't make any sense to me, it did, but it just felt fuller and richer. And there was a big struggle of being willing and able to say, hey, I'm gonna be willing to call myself, or at least put my allegiance and affinity towards this thing. And there's still a whole process of me becoming officially Orthodox. So 6 months down the line, I might not be there, but I think that through it all, I've just realized that it's not bad to build up to something else and have confidence in something again. But how are we doing that? And in what ways should we move towards Reconstruction so that it's helpful, so it doesn't leave us feel like we're clinging to something blindly or holding on to something for the wrong reasons. And so I think as much as I'm going to keep talking about deconstruction, I really want to try to put that in the frame of a goal to ultimately be that we're reconstructing into something better and moving towards something positive. And I think so many people are on that journey and are not sure how to do it, and I'm not sure how to do it either, but at least not completely, but I've learned things from trying. And I'd love to not only continue talking to people who are in this phase of deconstruction, but I want to be talking to people who have started to feel confident in this reconstruction and rebuilding and reorganizing. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that goal has a better chance to lead us to something good than just this constant tearing apart. Because I think tearing apart, you could only do that for so long, and you need some type of foundation to do that, to live in the world and operate in it well. So how do we go about that? And yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there, but this is a new trail. I decided to go to a different trail today and like came to this beautiful little rock thing. So what a great place to end. I feel like it looks way cooler in person than on this video. But anyways, thank you for listening to my rambling. I will probably do a more formal video about Reconstruction, because I know not everybody watches these or definitely gets to the end of these because they're a nightmare. But it was good to kind of just get it out of my head a little less formal, and hopefully I can reconstruct this video into something more helpful or useful and more directive. So thank you for listening. I appreciate all your support. Please comment below if you have any sort of topics that you're interested in reconstruction or deconstruction, or if anybody wants to have a conversation with me for the podcast, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. I can't promise that every conversation I have is going to be released, and even if you want to have a private conversation, that's totally fine too. But I like talking to people, and it's helpful to hear how people are understanding what I'm saying, and help me communicate better. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.